So Sportsnet about to be joined by Ken Weeb from the Winnipeg Free Press. Together we are Kenny and Renny. This is the Kenny and Renny post-game show after a game that I think shows the other side of the double-edged sword. That double-edged sword that can both cut you but can cut in the other direction. Let's hop into the Toyota, the BZ. I'm focused on the BZ these days. I don't know why. Nelson Gaspar, one of the people you will see commenting in the chat room, the brand new owner of a BZ. He was texting me about it and excited about it. And I can see why, because, man, we fell in love with that thing when we were driving it. Anyways, let's hop into BZ and go for the Jim Pattison Toyota on Regent Drive here and talk about the double-edged sword and how that works. And here is a perfect example of why the Winnipeg Jets are playing what they're playing. That very same system that worked against them and that they lost against the New York Rangers works on this night. And here's the reason why. What happened in the first period, it's the same thing that we've been saying is happening over and over and over again. Very, very, very low shot volume by both teams in the first period. Low event hockey. It's the great equalizer, okay? It's a style of hockey that takes really great high-flying teams and reduces them to kind of right shoulder to shoulder with you. It also does the same thing with, lesser teams. So what happens in a game against the New York Rangers, and this is what I talked about after the last show, the Winnipeg Jets are in a game like that. They grind it down low. New York gets one to go. The Jets get it back, okay? This is the time now where the other team is supposed to start crumbling because the Jets are forcing them into a battle of attrition, except here's the problem. The New York Rangers didn't crumble in that game. They kept pushing forward, and now you're on equal footing. So if a bounce goes the other way, well, then that team has the advantage again. The Jets erased the advantage 3 times in that game, but the New York Rangers did not go away. The New York Rangers stuck with it. The New York Rangers said, listen, if it's going to be a battle of attrition, we're up for it, okay? This is the other direction of that. So you lose a game against the New York Rangers that you probably, in the position you're in, don't want to lose, shouldn't lose, can't be losing, right? But because you play that style of game, it gives the New York Rangers just as good a shot of winning that game as it gives you. Let's turn it the other direction. And this is how it happens when it works for you. Because what did I say? The Winnipeg Jets are always trying to win every game 1-0 or 2-1. Well, this is essentially a 2-1 win, right? Outside of an unbelievable play by Cole Perfetti to get the empty net goal the way he does. But this is basically the Winnipeg Jets capitalizing on a couple of mistakes that are made by a team that was casual on the night where the Jets just were not going to be casual, okay? But here's the deal. Take a look at the numbers. Go to Natural Stat Trick. At the end of that game, the high danger chances for are 11-2. 11-2 for the Colorado Avalanche. And yet, the Winnipeg Jets win that game by a 3-1 score. Well, they basically capitalize on the opportunities that they have, and the Colorado Avalanche weren't able to capitalize on theirs. Some big saves by Connor Hellebuyck. Massive, for sure, candidate for the Johnson Group got you covered play of the game in Dylan DeMello, who stops a shot from going into the back of the net. A little bit of a got you covered, like a nice play by Cole Perfetti, who turns that puck over. But what we saw on this night was a Winnipeg Jets team that was extremely, extremely committed to a couple of things. Not making mistakes, block and not giving up anything in the home plate area, and not really. And how do you do that? Well, you just don't try to score. You just sit in your end and you sit back and you clog the front of the net and you try not to let any shots through, and you're hoping you get that opportunity, and all of a sudden you've got a goal, and now you're trying to win it 1-0. And then the opposition, you get an opportunity down ice. Now it's 2-0. And now you really don't do anything. You just sit in your room, in your zone. You sit in front of your net. You don't let anything through. And it's, again, I've talked about it before. It's not the most exciting brand of hockey, but it's the Winnipeg Jets saying we just have to hold on for dear life, and this is how we're going to win games. We're not going to win in trading chances with the Colorado Avalanche, so we're going to take all of their chances, and we're going to try and make sure that they don't end up being really, really great chances, that end up in the back of the net, because we are just going to clog the middle up so bad that nothing is going to get through. It's a double-edged sword, but it works. It works in a game like this if you're the Winnipeg Jets, because what it means as all the high-flying, slick passing nature of the Colorado Avalanche just doesn't work. Now, does this game work if the Winnipeg Jets don't get the first goal? Does it work if Nathan MacKinnon doesn't drop a pass back casually and the Winnipeg Jets head the other way and it ends up in the back of the net? It probably doesn't, but that's what you're waiting for. You're saying we're just going to sit here and we're going to be committed to not getting scored on. We won't even think of offense. We won't even entertain the idea of it. We will just sit here and try and win a stalemate game and hope that you're not willing or you're not signed up for it, and that you'll make casual mistakes. You'll make casual plays, that this game means more to us than it means to you, that we are going to outcompete you in that area of this game. And that's what happened on this night. It was only a couple times out there, but the Colorado Avalanche got casual. The Winnipeg Jets put it in the back of the net, and then they held on for dear life. And that's how you knock off the number one team in the NHL, ladies and gentlemen. You ask them on this night, are you willing to win a battle of attrition? Are you signed up to just go to war and grind things down and be patient and wait and survive the boredom of this game in order to get on the other side? The other night, the New York Rangers were willing to. Tonight, the Colorado Avalanche weren't. And that's why the Winnipeg Jets find themselves with 2 points at the end of this night. That is my take in the Jim Pattison Toyota on Region opening drive, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, it is the month of March where you can find your next Toyota at Jim Pattison Toyota on Region. Strong, capable, powerful. The 2026 Tundra is the perfect blend of rugged and sophisticated, ready to take you on any adventure. This month, finance the 2026 Tundra from 4.79% plus eligible loyalty customers receive a 1% rate reduction. But hurry, the offer ends March 31st. But visit Jim Pattison Toyota on Region for a test drive today. Just a quick story. Last night over at some friend's place, their 12-year-old daughter, we were playing this game, and it was basically every person gets asked a question and everyone has to guess how they're going to respond to it. Their 12-year-old daughter was asked what her dream vehicle is, and it was a light blue 2026 Toyota Tundra. I don't know how that happened, but that's a pretty cool pretty darn cool. I mean, I was like, that's mine too, I said, but I don't know. I've got, that's what I have in common with my good friend's family and their daughter, who absolutely is lined up for a 2026 Toyota Tundra. Okay, time to bring in the man with the best music in the business, folks. Here comes Ken. Renny, I'd like to say you and I are having a little fun with the wardrobe, but we're just the classic style here tonight. Great tie. I've seen it before. I think you may have seen it on. Is that one of the Renny specials?
No, this is not a loner from Renny. No, this is a.
Well, none of them are loners. None of them are loners.
Sorry, they're gifts. Yes,
they go.
This is my own, though. Yes, this is my own.
Either way, it works. I was going to say it looks so good that it must have come off of me, but I know who it came off. If it came off the folks at Vittorio Rossi. So you know what to do. If you want the kind of tie that looks so good that Renny handed it in your direction, you want to head on down to Vittorio Rossi. Walk in, loudly proclaim Kenny and Renny sent you, ask for Frankie and the boys, and they will do you up right. Ken, a comment right off the bat by Fritchie101 here, who says, I wasn't hopeful when I walked into the arena today, but ended up being a fun game, ! Walked away with some free luggage playing the match game. Okay, playing the match game, that's going to do it there for Fritchie. Fun game. This is one that I kind of wanted to dive into with you, because I understand for a lot of fans, the Jets winning, that's going to be the definition of fun. right there. For me, the idea of these being fun games, that's a little bit of a stretch for me. I got to be honest, full disclosure, as an appreciator of the game of hockey, I'm not a fan of this kind of stuff. I'm not a fan of the grinded out first periods. You know, the reason that we get high shot volume towards the end of the game is just one team at some point is just throwing stuff on net, trying to get, you know, it back into the game, trying to get something good to happen. For me, it's not hockey at its finest. It's hockey at its dullest. I'd like your take on it, because I think for a lot of people, the Jets winning is worth the sacrifice of, you know, offensive, creative, fun hockey. For me, it's not.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'll probably be more using a Renny special tomorrow. I'm just going to give you a little spoiler alert there, so you can give yourself the Barry Horowitz for the gifting tomorrow, I think. I got one good one in mind from your supply there. So in terms of the style of play, no, I mean, the Jets aren't playing the style of play that was fun to watch last year. And as you mentioned, Sean, for you and I, it's got nothing to do with wins and losses. It just, they played a far more exciting style of hockey. And I would even argue even the way they defended last year was much more exciting because it involved speed in all three zones, right? The Jets were the kind of kings of back pressure last year, where that element of their game, you know, while it's been there a little bit more at times coming out of the break, we don't think that it has been there nearly as often as we saw last season. Again, this isn't a comparison between last season and this, except in this case, when we're talking about the Jets stylistically, there were times, you know, obviously last year's style is more conducive to, you know, I would think a higher entertainment value. So, you know, again, I can understand what some of our folks in the comment section are enjoying themselves. I mean, again, I think there were elements of the game that the Jets did a lot better. And again, Sean and I, we're not saying that the defending element isn't, you know, can't be enjoyable to watch. I mean, there's lots of sacrifices being made. I mean, shot blocking volume was quite high. Jets had, you know, 20 hits and they had 24 blocked shots compared to just 4 for the 4 blocked shots for the Colorado Avalanche. So the sacrifice level is high. There is some excitement level in that. I think the Jets made a bunch of smart defensive plays. Sean, you laid most of them out in the opening drive for the good folks at Jim Pattison on Regent. There's a stick lift, you know, among the many great plays that Scott O'Neill identified at the podium. I think one that I'm not saying he missed it, but I think one of the other plays that was also noteworthy was a Gabe Velarde stick lift of Brett Kulak, which looked like a backdoor tap in after a rebound chance came out his way. And again, that's effort. So I see effort for sure. You know, I don't think they sat back. Maybe I'm not saying they didn't sit back. I just think that there were time. It wasn't, to me, this wasn't a game where they were under siege and giving up 40 plus shots. Now, again, a week from now, maybe Colorado's a little fresher. I don't know that sitting back is a great formula, but at the same time, you know, as you mentioned, the Jets aren't going to get into a track meet and win a skilled game necessarily 6-5 with the Avalanche. I necessarily. So they needed to play a low event type of game in order to give themselves a chance. I would say that, you know, top line, again, pretty impressive. I mean, this is the flip side of that other debate, Sean. For all the people yelling and screaming and saying break up Mark and Kyle, there's another example. There's that chemistry shining through on 2 even strength goals. You know, one is a one-timer from, you know, Connor setting up Scheifele. It hits Iafallo. Iafallo cleans up the trash in front. The other goal is Mark Scheifele. Just, again, Sean, we've seen these two connect on so many goals, but the ability for Scheifele to make it look so easy as he finds Connor through traffic as the trailer, it's just next level stuff. And I mean, it's not something that you can, you know, not to get into debate like we had last game, but that play is not being made by Brad Lambert or Isak Rosean right now. It may be made with them over time, but that's 2 guys that have played together for the better part of a decade, knowing where each other are, but also having someone that can help create the lane by getting to the net and things like that. So again, the Jets obviously need more throughout the lineup. right now we know, Sean, it's a slog for lines 2, 3, and 4 to create offense and generate goals. I mean, yes, Cole Perfetti, as you mentioned, exceptional play. We've seen this. When Nate McKinnon gets rolling, if Nate McKinnon gets that puck past Cole Perfetti, it just as easily could have been a 2-2 tie rather than a 3-1 empty netter. But Perfetti stood him up at the blue line with a great stick check, then scored on long distance. So, yes, there is some secondary scoring, but it comes into an empty net. I mean, right now the Jets are not getting a ton from their other three lines, but the top line comes through and, special teams kind of a wash, I guess. So, in terms of excitement level, I mean, no, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, let's just say it this way. I mean, you and I generally would probably prefer the Colorado Avalanche style to the Winnipeg Jets style right now if we're talking about covering an 82 game season and the playoffs potentially. And again, you and I have had the fortune of covering the Avalanche on their run right to the Stanley Cup Finals. So I think that sort of maybe plays into it. But yeah, I mean, I think right now the Jets are playing the style that they have to play. But John, we saw when they're not committed fully to that style in games against the Anaheim Ducks and New York Rangers, it's even worse to watch. Whereas in a game like today, I think there's more things that show up that can lead to a style of play that is, worth watching, I guess, if you will.
Okay, so I take exception with some of the things you're saying and a lot of the things that people are saying in the chat room. And right off the bat, it's just that I don't agree with the assessment and I feel like there's been a real pattern as of late with Scott Arniel that when the Jets lose a game, it's because the Jets just didn't have the right effort and all this kind of stuff. And it's back to this idea that when the Jets perform well, they're going to win. It's a foregone conclusion. It has nothing to do with the other team. The Jets are just going to win if they play their game. And if they lose, they clearly didn't play their game. I don't buy that. Like the difference for me tonight between that game against the Rangers is tonight outside of a couple of plays where there were mistakes. Like the first goal that happens for the Colorado Avalanche, it's a drop pass to no one by Nathan McKinnon. It's a careless play, right? That the Jets turn up ice and boom, it's in the back of the net. Good on the Jets. They've always been like this. They've been like this for a long time, especially that top line. If you make silly, stupid mistakes, they can make you pay. If you give them odd man rushes, they can make you pay. The other night, what we saw was a whole bunch of tipped in shots, right? It wasn't that the Winnipeg Jets were wide open and that the New York Rangers were picking them apart. The New York Rangers were throwing stuff at the net and they'd get a tip here and a blocked, a screenshot there and it would go into the back of the net. If they don't score on those tips, that game looks exactly like this game. This game works one way and one way only. It works in the Winnipeg Jets' favor if the Colorado Avalanche don't score first. Because what it allows them to do is it allows the Winnipeg Jets it's like, you ever play tag, Ken? And it's like the home base tag. You remember that when you were kids? And there was home base and you had to run and get to the other home base. And like, once you were there, you were safe. The game was over for you, right? And every once in a while, there'd be someone who would play where they would just stand by their own home base. And they would just be like, well, I'm just not going to let anyone touch home base. And then the only way you could get in is you had to go with two people and you had to get him to commit to one and then the other one would get in there. But this is the Winnipeg Jets version of being those kids playing tag who stand by their own home base and they just do not move. And they wait for you to make a mistake and it goes down the other way. So I don't see that much of a difference between this game or the Anaheim Ducks game, other than the fact that the Colorado Avalanche don't find a way to score the first goal, because if they do, then the Jets have to score. Then they have to generate something. And this is where I get this is where I'm on the other side compared to what a lot of the people are saying here. This comment here by, sorry, let me just get my glasses here. This comment by Paul Kelsch says, good defense leads to offensive opportunities. You must get the puck to have a chance. This is half right. It was entirely right with the Winnipeg Jets last year, because the Winnipeg Jets idea of defense was cramming the puck down, or like the check down your throat, catching you in your own end, turning it over and getting the puck back. The old Bones idea of get the puck back as quick as you can. You are not with a straight face trying to tell me that the Winnipeg Jets getting outchanced by 5, outshot the way that they were, generating only 18 shots on the night, 3 or 4 shots in the first period. You're not trying to tell me with a straight face that the Winnipeg Jets were running around tonight trying to get the puck back. They were putting up a wall and saying, bounce the puck off the wall over and over again. We're not trying to get it. We're going to wait until you do something stupid. Then we're going to try and capitalize on it. But the Winnipeg Jets were not trying to generate on this night, and they were not trying to get the puck back. They were trying to set up and survive. That's what we saw from them tonight. And that's why I'm at odds with other people, because this works in certain ways, and it worked tonight. But it doesn't mean that it's like, it doesn't mean that it's a system that is something that you should be chasing. It's what they need to do to survive a game like this tonight. So a lot of people in the comment section are bang on with this, because they're saying, and you kind of said it as well, Ken, this is what the Jets need to do right now. This is the only way the Jets are going to win. Okay. And if you're all invested in them winning, a lot of people having fun with that tonight, that's great. If it's all about the win for you, no matter what it looks like, then that's what the Winnipeg Jets need to do. And I'm acknowledging that. This is the only way the Winnipeg Jets are going to make the playoffs, is playing this style of hockey, 2-1 style hockey. I don't have to like it from a hockey perspective of someone who likes to go out and see a game executed and see skill on display and see two teams trying to score and trying to put the puck into the back of the other team's net. I don't have to like that, but I can agree 100% at the same time that it's what the Jets need to do right now if they're going to make the playoffs. But here's where I come from. I don't think the Winnipeg Jets are going to make the playoffs. I don't believe for a second they're going to make the playoffs. And so for me, the question becomes, at what cost? At what cost do you grind things down to the base level hockey for the final quarter of the season in an effort to try and get over the playoff line? Is it worth it? And for me, from a perspective of I would like to see entertaining hockey, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would, again, you're 100% right here, Sean. I mean, let's look at shot attempts. I mean, shot attempts are 79 for Colorado to 37 for the Jets. I mean, we're talking about template games. I don't know that that's a sustainable template, even though Connor Hellebuyck said, he felt that it was an easier workload. I didn't think it was that easy to workload. Yes, some stuff was from the outside, and I think they did a better job of defending the home plate area like you did when you were talking in the post-game interviews. But to me, I think the most important thing in a game against a team like Colorado, which has a high octane offense, even though they are missing some key cogs, the reason why the parts of the Jets that they would like in terms of their structure, there were not many odd man rushes, Sean. This team, we've seen it over and over again. Makar and McKinnon can absolutely take their opposition to the cleaners if you get into a skilled game where they're getting 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s. That didn't really happen today. So I think that part, I think the Jets did a good job on. But yeah, I mean, this wasn't the Jets made.
Well, if you're not up ice trying to score, you're back ready to defend.
Sure, but I mean, the point is you can't do that against those teams, or else you're going to give up a bunch of goals, no matter how well Connor Hellebuyck might be playing. So I just give them credit for not giving up those chances. I mean, it's easy to get sucked into a game against a team like that. We've seen it tons of times. It's one of the reasons why the Avalanche don't mind getting down a couple goals, because they think they'll suck you into doing something stupid with the puck, get a 2-on-1 with one of those skilled guys, and all of a sudden it's a 1-goal game or whatever else. So I will credit them for that part of it for sure. But that to me is the biggest difference. There were not the coverage lapses that we saw on Thursday. And again, Sean, I agree with you. This isn't they didn't have the Ray game, so they lost. I mean, they had better defensive zone coverage, Sean. And as you mentioned, part of that reason is them sitting back a little bit. So, but again, I think that their game still looked different than Thursday, even though they had more shots against the Rangers. I thought the quality that they gave up was pretty high against the Rangers, even though, yes, we know there's 11 grade A's according to Natural Stat Trick here. So anyways, it'll be interesting. And again, Jets are on a big homestand, lots of benefits there, but are you getting, we talked about it a few games ago, are you getting Jekyll? Are you getting Hyde? Right? I mean, that's what we're wondering. St. Louis is rolling in here 7-1-1, Sean. which version are you getting on Sunday, and what's the opponent going to look like, right? I mean, St. Louis, even though they're right there with the Jets, there's probably a segment of their fan base that's thinking the exact same thing. They have Team Tank fans too that want them to dip in the standings, like some of the people in our chat room are right now.
All right. So when you say, are you getting Jekyll or are you getting Hyde, you're referring to the Winnipeg Jets, right?
Yeah.
I'm just rejecting the premise. I don't think the Winnipeg Jets were much different a team tonight than they were the other night against the New York Rangers. The difference is they were forced to chase the game and they couldn't sit back in a shell and wait for the other team to do something. This is my point. It's the same game and it is all dependent on one thing and one thing only. You can't get down. If the Colorado Avalanche score first, they win this game. Because the Winnipeg Jets can't sit in a shell. They're forced to head down the ice. They're forced to try and open up and create offense, which means that they're looser defensively, and now the puck's in the back of the net. So I guess for me, that's the part of it that's on a night like tonight, we are in a slightly different alternate universe. We are slightly away from going and saying, amazing game that they played, doing all the right things to knock off the number one team in the league. And we're slightly away from them saying they just can't generate enough to stay with this team. Once they fall behind that team, they can't generate, and then they can't defend when they don't have the lead. We are that close to saying that, and it's as simple as a bounced puck in the right direction. Same game, both ways. This is my point, is this game, it's a coin flip. It is a coin flip which way it's going to go. And when you need to win 70% of your games, right, I don't think the coin flip gets you over the line.
Fair. I mean, whatever. I don't want to argue about this, but I think that the game a game against Anaheim was definitely not this game today. I mean, their effort level was way different. So
that one,
I don't want to get bogged down by the one in the middle. I mean, we talked more about Jekyll and Hyde on Tuesday. So they need more games that look like that in terms of effort. We're in a total agreement on two things. You can't be getting out attempted by 40 shots and call that a template game. It's just not sustainable, right? I mean, and the other part is they're going to need more from lines 2, 3, and 4 moving forward.
I like this comment for the Flame and Comfort hot take. Although it needs some tweaking here. Paul Kell says, what do you expect? The Jets are mediocre and must play mediocre to have a chance. I don't think they played mediocre tonight. The defensive style that was required to get into shooting lanes, the level of attention that was required once they had to lead to win that game is extremely high. The execution is extremely high. This is a defensive protecting the home plate masterpiece by the Winnipeg Jets. You can, when you throw everything you have at just defending the home plate without any thought of getting the puck down ice and creating any kind of offense, you can do this. So, but I do agree with the idea that the roster, unable to execute what it did last year, unable to score very much, can be seen as mediocre. And I would say they have to play a mediocre style. Well, that style is a mediocre style of, like, if put it this way, if you're the Winnipeg Jets fan, you love what happened here tonight. If you're a hockey fan who decided to flip on this game, looking for an interesting game to watch, you change the channel. It's as simple as that. But Paul Kelch with a great take on it. And that's why he has the Flame and Comfort hot take of the game. Brought to you by Flame and Comfort, Manitoba's premier supplier of fireplaces, wood stoves, inserts, and everything hearth-related. After 50 years heating up your world, Flame and Comfort has moved to 1465 St. James Street. You'll find it will be one of the most impressive showrooms in Western Canada. You don't need your hot takes to keep that warm feeling inside, folks. Visit Flame and Comfort, and they will take care of it for you. I saw a comment in there about me showing my bias by saying that. And I agree. I'm biased. I like offense. Sorry. I showed my bias. 0-0 games, they are not the ones that get me crazy. So bias exposed. The shame I will carry with that, I will carry for a long time. Okay, Ken.
Well, the other thing too, so quickly, and again, we're not going to spend time in the weeds on the Avalanche, but when, we've seen enough of Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon to think that they're worth the price of admission, and every time they come into the rink, you want to watch them do something exceptional. Now, McKinnon's pass to Natchez at the 6-on-5, that's high level, elite level stuff. But I mean, to your point, you kind of want more than that in a game like that to get your entertainment value. But I mean, even in a game where I thought this was one of the quietest games I've seen Cale Makar play, Sean, quite frankly, in person. Cale Makar still had 3 shots and 13 shot attempts, but I didn't think that he was as impactful as we're used to seeing. He didn't seem to be
not
up
even
ice
close.
as much. I mean, he's a guy that drives play from the back end the same way Josh Morrissey does. Today, I didn't notice that from him.
Well, you know why? There's no the Jets do a really good job when they do get an opportunity down ice, and the forwards. The defensemen jump into the play to try and create that odd man rush. Here's the deal. If you're Cale Makar, you're looking for scenarios where you've got a chance to make it an odd man rush down ice, right? So when you see the 2 guys go and there's only 2 defensemen back and I can beat the high forward down the ice, now it's a 3-on-2, right? Smart for Cale Makar. He's the guy who will recognize that and he'll get down there. But the Jets didn't do that. The Jets always had 3 guys above. So even if you get the puck, if you're Cale Makar, there's no point jumping into the play because the Jets are already outmanning you down the ice. There's no reason. To your point, Ken, and it was very astute, you weren't scoring on the Jets tonight on an odd man rush because they were not going to allow themselves to get far enough down the ice into Colorado's zone to not have 3 men back. It was an entire stay at home, protect the base game on this night, and it worked. Once they had the lead, it worked. No doubt about it. It's what was required to beat a team like that. And let's be honest, if this was playoff hockey and I was playoff hockey is different because all that matters is the win in that situation. This is how the Winnipeg Jets should play the Colorado Avalanche if they pull off a miracle, if they get into that 8th spot. But yeah, the point has been made. I did want to say something quickly. Did you notice, Ken, how often Cale Makar shot from the point and it ended up being a high glove that Connor Hellebuyck snagged? I thought, Ken, this was a very, very good example of the Winnipeg Jets knew exactly where to be in shooting lanes and exactly what they could give up. Connor Hellebuyck talked about it. He talked about how easily he was able to see the puck. I think what the Winnipeg Jets did was they took away any kind of ability for them to shoot anywhere else. And they said, you can shoot from the point and we're going to give you 1 spot to go and our goaltender is going to see it. So shoot all day, all you want from the point. I'm pretty sure I saw 4 shots by Cale Makar that were easily gloved by Connor Hellebuyck. That tells you guys aren't anywhere near tipping the puck. And it tells you that Connor Hellebuyck knows exactly where he's trying to go. Great defense. The getting in shooting lanes was what the Winnipeg Jets did way better on this night than they did against the New York Rangers.
Yeah, and I mean, just quickly, looking at Jared Bednar's comments, we lacked energy. I thought they did a real good job on the defensive side of things. I like the way we checked. I just didn't think some of our top guys had enough energy. They didn't go to here's perfectly goes to what you said. It looked like it was too tough to get to the hard areas of the ice, right? Although they did it in portions. So, right, what we saw when the Avalanche dusted the Jets in 5 games is they owned the front of the net, right? They owned the paint. And to your point about Cale Makar getting shots through, but Nichushkin isn't taking away Connor Hellebuyck's eyes. They didn't have a steady stream of 4 lines, making it impossible on the Jets defense core to clean the front of the net. And today, I mean, the Jets gave up a bunch of tip-in goals, so they should have been on high alert, but they did a much better job on that front in this game tonight, and that's part of the reason why Connor Hellebuyck thought it was kind of one of his easier games, even though the shutout was, again, interesting that the Jets haven't had a shutout this year, even though Hellebuyck had 8 last year. But it wasn't this again. I don't think it was a real breakdown. It was just a high level, elite level pass to a guy who buries a one-timer. But anyways, it's
full credit to the Winnipeg Jets, and it was touched on by Jared Bednar, and it was a question that I'd asked Scott Arniel after the game. Basically, what I saw in this game tonight was a team that was willing to outcompete the other team. Now, I had said this before, or I said it in my question. It's a cliche to say one team wanted it more, but on this night, based on some of the mistakes that were made by Colorado, what you just described, Ken, was a little bit of a lackluster performance by the top players on the Colorado Avalanche on this night. And we'll get to it, the top line and how they played for the Winnipeg Jets and how they executed when they had their opportunities. For me, this was just a team that wanted it more, or at the very least, Ken, was going to outcompete the Colorado Avalanche on this night. And on this night, that was enough. I have to bring this comment up here and say there's part of this I wholeheartedly disagree with. Peace, Love, and Hockey says, forget the playoffs already. If they get in, great. They don't, then playing strong gets them better now, develops youth, and gets them starting in fall on a good foot, end strong, start strong. This, to me, is just poppycock, an entire poppycock, because the Winnipeg Jets playing a game like this where guys like Isak Rosén played his last shift with 13 minutes left to go in the game. This isn't developing youth. This is clinging to what you've been holding on to all year. And I do not see a correlation between the Winnipeg Jets ending the season strong and making the playoffs, not putting their young, like, I'm okay with the Winnipeg Jets going out and playing Rosén and young guys like that as much as you possibly can, seeing what they look like with different players. Let's see what Rosén looks like with Mark Scheifele. Let's see what he looks like with this player, so on and so forth. Brad Lambert and Kyle Connor at some point. If you're doing that, now you're developing youth. Now you're potentially getting stronger. Winning a certain amount of games and falling short of the playoffs does not make you better in the spring. There's no correlation between those two things. There would be correlation if you're developing your youth. That's not what we saw here tonight, and that's not what we've been seeing down the stretch here. Ken, let's get to the top line. Okay, I'll go first with the top line here quickly.
Sure.
What hit me today is this is a game where the Winnipeg Jets top line once again outdoes the opposition's top line. One of the, best top lines in the game of hockey, some of the best players in the game of hockey. And I'm just going to be quick about this so that you can get into it and you can kind of wax poetic about it. But the one thing that I've thought here along the whole idea of, the Jets core, and the idea that some people will look at this year and say it's a wasted year of the core. It is really hard to argue that, because of the games the Winnipeg Jets have won this year, how many times has the top line won that game for the Jets? They did it tonight. They do it most times. And how many times? I can look at the very last game against the New York Rangers. The Winnipeg Jets top line players gave them a chance to win that game. They did not win it, but how many games did the Jets come up just short this season where the top line put them in a position to potentially win that game? I have to say, this is, without a doubt in my mind, the best performance ever in the entirety of those two playing together that we've seen from Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. And if things were just slightly different, if you had slightly more depth, if you had slightly more opportunistic or timely secondary scoring, this team would be in an entirely different boat, because I quite honestly don't think, outside of splitting them up and driving separate lines, I don't think there's more you could possibly ask from Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor this year. And tonight is just another perfect example of that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, again, I am in total agreement as for the folks saying that it's a wasted year for the core. It's not a wasted year for the people producing the year or the statistics or any of that stuff, but it's hard to imagine those guys continually getting better as they move into, their mid 30s or whatever. Right. And that's the whole point here. I mean, Scheifele's now had 2 years in a row where at 31 and 32, soon to be 33, that he has found a way to continually enhance his statistics. I mean, offensively, 51 assists now. I mean, that's another career best. And I mean, still pushing for 100 points. I mean, Kyle Connor, eighth time he's able to hit 30 goals or higher. And the only year he didn't, he had 26 and 56, Sean. I mean, he would have blown the 30 out of the water probably if that's a full season. So, yeah, I mean, those two guys are doing their part. The problem for the Jets is that they didn't have enough around them. You can argue this way and the other way, but, some people saying still 2 years ago, the best version was Vilardi, Ehlers, and Scheifele, and say whatever you want. But the reality is that these guys are probably going to continue to play together. I mean, that's what we've seen. They enjoy playing on the same line. They need to be better defensively at times. There's still no argument about that. But they've done their part on this team, but they haven't had enough from the other lines. And again, it's not up to them to say, hey, we need you to do more. but you and I can say it. I mean, we're sure Scott Arniel has said it publicly countless times this year. So on that front, that, yeah, I mean, this is a year where they need, whether it's internal candidates or bringing in other players, they're going to need to enhance the talent level and use the production level in terms of, actually, Sean, I think that's Charlie might have emailed me there. That's one of the ones that I was talking to you about. Maybe. Sorry about that. Don't give him the pristine roofing wake up call. Give it to me. Here we go.
All right, there you go. I've been trying to,
pretty sure,
trying to track this one down forever. Where is this guy? Well, Charlie, it's either you or Ken, or maybe both you together, because you probably deserve the pristine roofing call for sending it to Ken in the first place and not sending it to the guy.
It's because you were in Italy. You were in Italy. That's why.
There's no excuses here, Ken. So that wake up call to the both of you. Pristine Roofing and Siding wake up call. Extremely well deserved in both of these cases. And you know what that means. Time to give North End Rick the Pristine Roofing wake up call at 204-981-6289. He's the guy you want down at your place for all your roofing, siding, and exterior needs. You can also call Pristine Roofing directly at 1-204-237-7663. Give your home the Pristine Roofing and Siding wake up call. You will be glad that you did, just like Charlie Dufault is going to be glad that he did, because he had an outstanding $50 gift certificate that he hadn't collected on because he trusted Ken, not the right guy to trust.
And sorry, Charlie, if that's incorrect, please do send it to Sean, though I do think he might have sent it to me. There were a couple of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Anyways, back to that top line. They've done it all year long. I mean, I have to say, this is just another night where Mark Scheifele, and it's been a lot of them this year. Like how it would be interesting to go back and see on how many nights the Winnipeg Jets top line outdid the opposition's top line. It's happened a lot this year. It's been impressive. No doubt they know how to score. They know how to get it done. And hey, you know how to score, because all you have to do to score a great rate is give the folks at Cambrian Credit Union a call. Getting a mortgage doesn't have to throw you off your game. While you focus on home sweet home, our friends at Team Cambrian Credit Union take care of the mortgage part with their low rates. Whether you're looking for a new home, renewing, or making the switch, Cambrian is your mortgage MVP. They can help make the next season of your mortgage path easier and help save you money. Now, that is what we call a win. Head to cambrian.mb.ca/rates for more. And Ken,
I just want to wrap something up quickly before I'll go to Lou right away here. Just one thing, Sean, on the ice time front, because we had a lot of heated commentary on that front the other day. Because the Lowry line had the bulk of the minutes against McKinnon, the minutes were much more evenly distributed today, Sean. Mark Scheifele, 1953 on 22 shifts. Adam Lowry, 23 shifts for 1914 in the game. So again, we talked about second line, third line, fourth line, not much difference the other day. Bigger difference today because Lowry's line handled a lot of the heavy lifting, but that's also smart coaching by Scott Arniel to get that Scheifele line out against some of the other lines out there. So anyways, just wanted to tie a bow on that. And for folks who have realty needs you'd like to have met, contact our main man, Lou Ferlin at Royal LePage Dynamic Realty, 204-791-9971, or at the office, 204-989-5000. His email is lou@louferlin.ca. That's LOU at LOUFURLAN.ca. Lou Ferlin, excellent realtor, excellent human being, and excellent supporter of the community, including this podcast.
This reminds me of those times when you were in school and if you brought gum to the class and the teacher was like, well, did you bring enough for everyone? Like everything has to stop to focus on one specific person. Charlie Dufault doesn't seem to know how to collect on the $50 gift certificate. You got to send it to @SN Sean Reynolds on Twitter. So if that's not going to work, let's just all wait here quietly and patiently and silently while I wait for Charlie Dufault to send me the email and get this done. Or we can move on. We're just going to move on, get that done.
Or I can check.
Okay. I wanted to, you brought up Lowry. This is what we're looking at. Adam Lowry did a great job of what we're talking about tonight, or what I was talking about earlier on, of the Winnipeg Jets just basically saying we're just going to put up a wall and they're not going to score. And it works on this night. So everyone can celebrate that it worked on this night. There was one thing, Ken, that made me think earlier in the game about Adam Lowry, and at least Adam Lowry's line. And I miss the old days of having that conversation about the third line, because it was just such a great opportunity for me to be right and you to be wrong. We would talk all the time about the third line and don't break up the third line. And they were so dominant. It was such a storyline. And it just got me thinking earlier today that has been so little of a storyline this year. And one of the things that did it for me was in the first period when the Jets had that really, really bad power play where they just couldn't get the puck in. It kept getting sent down the ice. And then they followed up and they sent out Adam Lowry. And it just clicked in my head, okay, this is what they used to do. If they had a really good power play but didn't score, then they'd send out Adam Lowry, right? Because what Adam Lowry would do is he'd be the next line that came out, and because the first line was cobbled together by members of the first power play unit was cobbled together by members of the first and second line, they would send out Adam Lowry's line, and then he would try, and if you had a good power play, he would keep the momentum. If you had a good penalty kill, oftentimes you'd get him out there and he would keep the momentum. If Mark Scheifele's line went out and scored, the third line would come out and he would keep the momentum. Sometimes they'd score again. If you got scored on, he would go out and he would steal the momentum back. His line would steal the momentum back. And so I thought in that moment, the Jets have a terrible power play. Here comes Adam Lowry to steal the momentum back. And he didn't have a bad shift, but what he didn't do is it wasn't one of these dominant Adam Lowry's line comes out, they take over the game, they cram it down your throat, they pin it in the zone, and all the momentum just shifts. And I'd wondered, Ken, the inability for Adam Lowry and Adam Lowry's line to be the momentum drivers that they were last year. And when I say that they were last year, I truly do believe that they were maybe top 5 lines in the entire league as far as being momentum drivers. And that was ahead of the Winnipeg Jets first line. Like, he's up against the likes of Connor McDavid's line and other lines like that for being the line that just tilted things in his team's favor time and time again. And just looking at that simple fact, Ken, that line is not the momentum driver that it was last year. How big of a role has that played in the drop that we've seen from the Winnipeg Jets this year?
Oh, massive. I mean, you're having some fun with it, but my occasional commentary that maybe moving Niederreiter up in the top 6 and moving Iafallo onto the third line.
He's trying to minimize it, folks. Don't let him minimize it. Don't let him rewrite history, folks.
Well, hey, the third line, never mind. No, I don't want to. Anyway, the third line
the damage has been done, Ken.
The change in personnel and in the way that the players that were on that line were playing this year is way different. So, and that includes Lowry. We know it hasn't gone smoothly for Lowry offensively. Again, he's always been a value-added player, and we know this is an incredibly difficult injury to come back from, given the rehab and the timing and all that. So Adam Lowry, 4 goals and 17 points, a year after having an exceptional offensive season. We know that there's been frustration for Lowry. I mean, he had a really good stretch recently where he had 4 helpers in 5 games, but 1 assist in his last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But again, today you'll take a 0 in the point column when he's able to limit the damage for one of the best players in the National Hockey League. So that's the trade-off. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that one of the biggest differences for the Jets this year has been the play of that third line shutdown line. I mean, I think the same thing applies to their second line, but the second line was kind of, we knew it had a built-in driver with Nikolai Ehlers. What we knew was with the consistency of the Lowry line was that they were going to give you maximum effort, and the majority of the time they would be incredibly responsible defensively, but they would also force McKinnon, McDavid, all of those guys to spend and expend energy in the defensive zone defending against the Lowry line. That's what made the Lowry line great. They didn't have to pile up a ton of goals. When they make the opposition's best players play defense, that's a win in itself. And then they were able to give you kind of a checking line plus with guys getting to double digits and things like that. So again, not to minimize it, but Nino Niederreiter, we've been now hearing that the knee's been bothering him for a good chunk of the year. So, I mean, there's been a pretty precipitous drop off in Niederreiter's production. And I think in his skating as well. So not having Niederreiter at his best, not having Lowry at full capacity, and not having Appleton at all, they didn't really replace what they had been getting from that line, and tip of the spear and the ability to change the momentum of games, as you talked about, Sean. We saw it countless times. And again, I'm going to say the same thing I said last show. I think the quickest pathway to that getting back to happening is attaching Morgan Barron to the hip of Adam Lowry and then deciding what you want to do on the right side, whether you want it to be Cole Perfetti or if you want it to be more of a checking line role type of player as the Jets move forward. And as the Jets get ready for next fall, I think that's a major question mark, or getting someone there is going to be incredibly important for the Jets if they want to reverse their fortunes, if you will.
Folks, do you think that if the Jets actually put together the line that Ken's talking about right now, Lowry and Barron and someone else, do you think he would advocate to have that line broken up if they did that? Or do you think it's because it's his line? He would say, let's leave that line alone now. I think we all know our answer. I think we know where the ego stops on this show, folks. We should talk about Connor Hellebuyck. I thought he was brilliant tonight. A lot of people throwing up the Taves save for the keg save of the game. I love this. Okay, here's something, Ken. Since he won the gold medal, okay? Since he kind of put that behind him, Connor Hellebuyck has not only achieved a new level of status in the United States and, for all time for American hockey, but there's a calmness to him in the media and an enjoyment of the media for him that did not exist before this. And so sometimes you like to throw out these questions to see if guys are willing to have fun with things. Sometimes guys see you throwing something out for them to have fun as you trying to trap them into saying something crazy and it being a problem. But Devon Taves comes in, and for the second time in a month, he's got what looks like it's going to be a goal into a wide open net. And there's Connor Hellebuyck to steal this one from him. The stakes in this game, not nearly as high. The degree of difficulty, not nearly as high. But once again, Devon Taves goes home right now thinking, geez, I thought I had one. And Connor Hellebuyck stole it away. Connor Hellebuyck, I asked him after the game if he thinks that he's the kind of goaltender that at this point haunts some players' dreams. And rather than kind of shy away from it, he got into it. And he said this great line towards the end about, that's why I don't change my equipment, because I want players to come down and have the image of, it's this guy again. I thought it was a great answer, Ken. It wasn't demeaning or taking unnecessary shots or players or anything like that. It was just being the idea of that's what you should want to be. You should want to be the goaltender that strikes fear in the hearts of the opposition and makes people feel stymied and frustrated. I thought he handled that well, as he handled the game well tonight. He was brilliant. He saw through everything. He made some great saves. I thought that save on Nichushkin right towards the end of the game was just great. This was coming off of a bad game for Connor Hellebuyck. It was good for him, considering that he'd started stringing together some points. Remember, he didn't win a lot before they left and went to the Olympics. He started to win. He started to put up some points. He had a backslide last game, put that backslide behind him extremely, extremely quickly, Ken.
Yeah, outstanding effort overall. And again, this was a vintage Kenny and Renny. I got one in there. Then you came with the second one. His answer to my initial question about Taves was also incredible, Sean, when he said, I just attacked the puck. I kind of thought the first guy should shoot.
Yeah.
and when he didn't, it kind of eliminated their space. And again, it's not a shot at Nichushkin, but when you hear a goalie talk, and almost every time someone talks about Hellebuyck, they talk about his ability to read the play. So this is just giving you a glimpse onto the inside of how the word processor works for Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck's thinking, I've got Taves covered on the back door if he passes it. Nichushkin should try to go bar down with the shot from where he was. Instead, as soon as he saw the pass was being made, it almost made it look like an easier save than it was, because he was already anticipating the pass was going there, even though in his head, he's thinking, if I'm Nichushkin, I shoot all day long there. So I agree with you totally. I mean, Connor doesn't love to do media. We know that. It's a known fact. But I agree. He's having a lot more fun. And I'm not even going to say he's making more jokes, but I think he's showing a lot more personality. And, and good on him for doing so, to be honest. But
You know what?
Right?
You know what would be a fascinating question to ask is how much of that got brought out by the Kachuk brothers? Because if you see him on that podcast, it's like one of the first times I think that Connor came out and had a non-robotic performance in the media. He went out, those guys drew it out on him. He had a lot of fun. As Waiters is saying here, that connection clearly led to him getting together with Jason Kelsey. That's another guy who's like, what those guys do is they create a scenario where I think we have lots of fun on here, Ken. But sometimes I think it can be hard for players to have fun with regular media members. That's why it's important to have guys like Kevin Bieksa as part of the media, right? Because Kevin Bieksa is a guy who gets along great with the likes of us and Elliot Friedman, and he's a guy who doesn't shy away that he's a media guy now. But as a former player, he's still got that thing, and I think that those guys do a good job of like letting players know it's not so bad to take part of the media. Actually, it can be a lot of fun. You can enjoy this. You can use it. It can help. It can make things better. It can make things grow. You know what I mean? And I think that the Kachucks have always been really good at leaning into the media. They probably got that way from their dad early on. Keith was always good in the media. And those guys, I think, kind of may have showed Connor Hellebuyck, A, it's okay to have fun, but B, this is how you do it. It's just as simple as this. You get out and you have fun. You have these conversations. Connor Hellebuyck was a fun interview tonight, Ken. And it wasn't, I like my details. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. It wasn't like reading off a list of to-do checks in his head. It was the personality behind him. And then he stepped away and chatted a little bit with Fleury's kids. And it was just like the human being behind the Terminator has been on full display. This isn't Terminator 1. This is Terminator 2, where you find the humanity in the machine. This is what's happened. Connor Hellebuyck has graduated from Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, the robot version of Arnold Schwarzenegger that everybody loved. It's a good thing for him. I like the direction that he's heading in.
Yeah, and lastly, just to kind of tie a bow on all of it, Sean, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, and how about his answer to my question about could you go tomorrow? This is the first time in the history of Connor Hellebuyck interviews that he didn't say, I'm good to go.
I want to play every game.
I am in. He literally said,
you need the Austrian accent.
What? Yeah, one night off, give Combs one. He's been working so hard, he's earned it. He's like,
there you go.
You know what I'm doing tomorrow? I'm kicking my skates up and gonna be relaxing on Sunday. Combs has got this covered. I was blown away by the answer, but also it was genuine. And again, not that it's not genuine before he got along with Lauren Brissois. We know that he's been getting along with Comrie forever, but beforehand it would have been, no, I need to be in there for this game. Now he's like, no, I'm good. Comrie's got this covered. He's playing tomorrow. I'm just going to enjoy watching him play.
Listen, the non-sequel, the Terminator 1 version of Connor Hellebuyck would say, I want to play every game. Every game I want to be in net for. There's not one night I want off in the NHL. Instead, now he's like, God, I don't want to play every single night. I need a night off here. Combs has been working. He can go. It was great. And it was something we've never heard from him before. And you know what it is? It's the human. It's like I'm saying. It's like, it's not the I need people to believe that I'm a machine that never breaks down. And if I get lit up and like, you know what's going to come next from Connor Hellebuyck? He's going to have a bad game one of these nights, and we're going to talk to him in the media, and he's going to be like, boy, that didn't go well, right? Rather than being like, oh no, I liked my game and everything was right with me. I couldn't have possibly stopped any of those shots. Right. He's going to be like, yeah, that didn't go as planned. And you know what? We'll try it again, because that's what humans do, right? He's found his humanity. And what it is it's not that humanity didn't exist. We're clearly joking when we say those things. But what it is there's a level. We've seen it with Kyle Connor at some point. Kyle Connor took another step in the media. You'll see these guys who start out as being not very, like, if you remember right at the beginning of it, Sidney Crosby wasn't, better example. Alex Ovechkin was not a good interview when he first came into the NHL. By the time he's done, and for a good decade before he's done, he's been one of the very best interviews in the NHL. It's been that way for a long time, right? You can evolve, you can grow, you can add tools to the toolkit. I sure hope what we're seeing right now is Connor Hellebuyck continuing to add those tools to the toolkit, because it's fun, Ken. It was fun. People talked about that game being fun. For me, the funnest part of that game was the conversation with Connor Hellebuyck after that game. It's I wouldn't say it's unexpected, because we've seen it trending that way since he came back, but it's new and it's fresh, and it's pretty interesting to have those conversations with a player like that, who's always got a lot of insight, but seeing that insight through a human lens is very interesting to see. Anyways, I hope we've covered the Connor Hellebuyck thing all the way around, just like the fine folks at Myers Drugs have the city of Winnipeg covered all the way around, because they deliver anywhere in the city of Winnipeg. So if you have any pharmaceutical needs, if you have any health food or supplemental needs, give them a call. They will come to you. All right, Ken, Johnston Group got you covered play of the game. And it's got to be the Johnston Group got you covered play of the game, because they're the folks. They're the folks that have you covered. But my, oh my, if they don't get, like, if Dylan DeMello does not retire from playing and get a job as the spokesperson of the Johnston Group, I don't know how else you can bring two people and hold their hands together, because he owns this award and absolutely owns it on this night. And by the way, Connor Hellebuyck had great stuff to say about him. How about that joke where he said Dylan DeMello wants a piece of the goaltenders meeting tomorrow because of the style that he's playing. He wants to be in and get his due being in the goaltenders meeting. Absolutely unbelievable play.
And then he dropped a you can tell he's been playing mini sticks with his kids at the end of it. So
yes, nailed it.
It was hit after hit after hit. Probably like Tristan Rivers and the band was rocking out last night on Friday. So again, I think we're going to have to change. We're going to have to introduce Dylan DeMello, or get him introduced to Matty J and Willie J in the summertime. And
does he golf? Do you know if he golfs?
We'll make this the Dylan DeMello We've Got You Covered Award, sponsored by the good folks, the OGs at the Johnston Group. But man,
unbelievable play,
incredible job. And again, and Sean, unlike the other night when there were barely any candidates, there were 5 candidates in the game that would have all been sufficient. I would say Dylan DeMello saved the most impressive one for last. Although, again, we mentioned there was a Hayden Fleury getting a stick in the lane. There was a Dylan Samberg getting in the lane. There was a Gabe Velarde stick lift. But, I mean, when it's a 2-1 game and you are a defenseman standing in the crease with the goaltender beside you and the puck hits you, that is obviously the We've Got You Covered play of the game, sponsored by our good friends over at the Johnston Group.
Well, and the point of exactly what you're saying, Ken, is that, like, I talk about things being a different story here, right? It's a 3-1 game, but this is a 2-2 game if he doesn't do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may be a 3-2 game if he doesn't do that, and Fleury doesn't take away that shot that's right point blank in the slot and redirect that out of play. There's so many examples of that. This was a Johnston Group kind of night. Like you said, the boys at Johnston Group are sitting back right now, and they're just, I assume that they're smoking a cigar, or, have swirling a glass of brandy or something like that. I don't know what things that you do when you're at peak relaxation and satisfaction, because Johnston Group well presented tonight by the Winnipeg Jets, who had each other covered all night here. Great job by the Jets, and great job by the Johnston Group. And hey, do you run a small business in Canada? Look to Canada's #1 employee benefits plan, Chambers Plan, to give you a competitive edge. Chambers Plan is the simple, stable, smart choice for over 30,000 businesses countrywide. Visit chamberplan.ca to learn more. And that brings us to our hashtag the keg save of the game. What do you got, Ken?
Yeah, and I mean, even though he made it look easy and kind of, again, said it felt easy, it has to be the save on Devon Taves. I mean, and it, only because it is a haunting, again, it's not haunting his nightmares the way the one in the gold medal game would have been, but it was an impressive save backdoor, even though Connor Hellebuyck kind of gave her the old shoulder shrug and thought, I'm going to read that all day long. I thought that's my choice anyway. There were a couple other ones in the game, but that's what I'm going with.
Okay. You know what? I like the Nichushkin one.
Oh, okay.
I got to say, Helly was so convincing that he convinced me that the Taves one was an easy one and not worthy of the hashtag keg save.
Disagree.
I thought the Nichushkin one on the doorstep like that.
Yeah, that was a good save.
It's a sneaky good extension of the pad. He's far out in the crease and yet gets his leg back. And what you need to be able to do if you're a goaltender, Tico Napoli would tell you, in that situation, it's easy to lose your net and yet it's like he's got a magnet in his skate, the direction that he sends his skate to kind of seal off the post there. He could not have taken a more direct path. That's a goaltender who knows exactly where he is in time and space. It's not big and boring, but it is nonetheless like cerebral goaltending at its finest. So for me, that is my hashtag, the keg save the game. Doesn't matter what I think, nor does it matter what Ken thinks. Especially, it doesn't matter what Ken thinks. It matters what you think. Share with us your hashtag, the keg save the game. You are automatically entered to win a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg, each location finer than the last. And that brings us to our winner from our last show, and that is O. Cranley. O. Cranley, you know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Charlie Dufault, pay attention if this ever happens to you again. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your full name. Send me an email. I will have the fine folks at the keg send you a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg. Each location finer than the last. And just quickly, Renny Jr. Senior at the keg right now for her second shift. She had her first shift last night. Turned out well. She didn't get fired. She made it further into her first job than her old man did. So good for her on that one. We'll see if she can get through shift number 2. And then the other one here, gift guy asked for it. Late breaking headband.
Oh boy.
In ages. It's been a while since the call has come, but the call has come. So here we are. Let's make this a late breaking version of the Kenny and Renny show that includes Sean's headband. Here we go. Just there was a little bit of an explanation in there. I want to say thank you to Tristan Rivers, who absolutely rocked it with that, who played it last night at Side Stage. I hope all the people who went out there had a great time. Sounds like it was a packed show, so much so. So here we go. I'm going to need to...
I'll take it. Big thanks to everyone who came out to the 9 Live show last night. Saw a few KNR WST groups of you out in the crowd. You are awesome. Well done,
Tristan, we know
you're
that
awesome.
As I just explained, couldn't get away because I had to go pick up the daughter from work, got stuck downtown, and couldn't bring her to the show because she's not old enough. But we knew it was going to be a great show, and it means a lot that you set tickets aside for both Ken and I at the door, even though we weren't able to make it. I'm committed to making it to the next one, so let me know when that's going to happen. And I hope everyone who was there had an absolutely great time. Ken, anything to say before we get going?
Yeah, just because some folks are interested in the results. Cody Glass, 15th goal of the season. The Devils beat the Kings, so temporarily the Jets remain 5 points back, but the Sharks are beating the Canadians late in the third, 3-2. So we'll see. It's likely to be one more point. It's going to be likely to be 6 by the time the game goes on Saturday, barring a late Canadians comeback.
There you go. Okay. All right. That's it for us. We'll do this all over again. A little over 24 hours, maybe a little under. Yeah, a little under 24 hours. So Jets playing the St. Louis Blues, going to be a big one. We can't wait to talk to you all about it. If you do appreciate the conversations, though, that happened in this space here today, we would implore you to appreciate our sponsors who fight to keep the conversation going in this space. For us, that's Jim Pattison Toyota on Region, Vittorio Rossi, Cambrian Credit Union, Pristine Roofing, Sweet Lou Furlan, Flame and Comfort, Myers Drugs, the Kenny and Renny OGs at the Johnson Group, and of course the fine folks at the Keg, which includes now Renny Jr. Senior. Thank you to them. Thank you to all of you. Let's get together and do it all over again tomorrow night. Talk to you then, folks. Bye-bye.